You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Hello and welcome once again to Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way. As always, I am your host, Matt Spectro, a.k.a. Tarzan Taylor. And as always, I'm joined by my fellow host. He's a former Liberty States heavyweight champion and a man whose favorite hobby is sleeping, Julian Starr.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? The more that you start to mention these factoids about me, the more I realized how much of a boring human being I am, and how little championships I held in the wrestling business. So, thank you for making me sad every time you introduce me.
Well, take in mind, I have to come up with a factoid every week, so they get obscure.
Well, that's my point. Is you have to come up with a factoid every week. We have, what is this episode?
Welcome to episode 9.
This
everybody.
is going to be episode 9, and you're already running out of stuff to say. You said my favorite thing to do is sleep. It's not wrong, but it just proves how boring I am.
We are the premier podcast exclusively about New England pro wrestling. Julian, give people a little bit of a insight of what we're all about.
Well, this podcast is about trying to get the truth. People in professional wrestling tend to be a bit too political, a bit too friendly. Well, Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way is looking to break that mold. As Tarzan and I sit down with various guests discussing multiple topics, but trying to gain the point of the truth. We will dig, we will probe, no matter how uncomfortable it may become. We will be sure to deliver truth, justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way.
All right. I wanted to try something a little different this week, Julian.
Okay.
We're going to try something. We're going to see if it works, and maybe we'll do it as a week. Well, not weekly because we're bi-weekly. A bi-weekly thing. We're going to try a little bit of New England pro wrestling trivia.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to ask you one question a week, see if you can get it.
God damn it. That means I got to start paying attention to what's going on around me.
And I won't tell you the answer if you get it wrong because we're going to try our guests afterwards to see if they'll know it.
Okay.
But we'll always give you the opportunity to answer first.
Well, I will tell you right now, our guest is 100% going to know because he is a weirdly steel trap for anything wrestling.
So I thought I'd start with a little bit easy.
Okay.
This would have been an easy one. I'm not gonna hit you with a brain buster too hard. Okay. February 13th, 1997. Monday Night Raw. The Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels vacates the heavyweight championship and announces he's lost his smile.
Yep.
What New England city did that take place in?
Oh, my God. Was that in Worcester?
We're gonna stick around, folks. We're going to ask our guest, and either he will know the answer or I will give the answer.
Boo.
All right, let's get on to this week's episode.
Oh, hold on.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I have a question for you.
All right. Is it trivia?
Yeah. Yesterday, you happened to do a little sit down with our friend Michael Crockett and Brian Fury, and you did a little watch along. But on your ride home, something happened. What was that?
All right, by the time this airs, this will be a while. I was stopped at a sobriety checkpoint.
And what happened?
I told the cop, you're violating my civil rights. You have no right to pull me over. This is nonsense. I told him he was a glorified meter maid. I said, I'm going to call your superior, which I did. I called the state police to bitch about how I was pulled over. And they told me it wasn't a violation because it was for the greater good. That's what he told me.
Well, maybe they're trying to protect the roads. Why do you have an issue with that?
Because it's a violation of my rights. They have no reason to pull you over. You've done nothing wrong.
So you feel they're asserting their authority?
Yes, exactly, which they have none. They also told me, I'm not going to get the whole thing about it, but they also tried to go with, well, it's not just you're inconveniencing, it's everybody. That was supposed to make it better.
You're not a big fan of the police force.
I am not a fan of the police force whatsoever.
All right.
I think they should be more like the fire department. There when you need them, but not just taking up space and doing all this other stuff.
Trying to act busy.
Yeah, exactly. When there's
you.
an actual crime, I mean, there was like 17 cops. How much crime do you think was being committed elsewhere when these guys were harassing me for doing nothing wrong?
I really don't know. I don't have as much passion for
Hey,
the police force.
just
but
my opinion.
I have seen some questionable tactics from them. But either way, we'll get back on the topic of wrestling. I just thought that was a great story to share with our fans.
I gotta say, I thought that was an easy question too. I can't, because I'm gonna get harder as they go along, and right off the bat, we're gonna take note. Julian Starr 0 for 1.
Well, it's the
Wait, how old were you in 19?
yeah, 1997. What was I like? It's like 7, maybe. And the other thing is like, I didn't pay attention to small details like what towns people were in or anything like that. I just watched like physical wrestling and then just mocked what I saw on TV. So if questions get like that, I'm fucked.
Well, I wait till they get to like obscure indie New England companies.
I'm gonna have to start paying attention.
All right. So we're going to do another episode of The Man Behind the Curtain, but this one's going to be a little bit different than our other episodes. I'm not going to explain it yet. We're going to introduce our guest, and then we're going to get into why this is going to be different here on episode 9 of Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way. Having said that,
There you go. Leave him on the hook, Tarzan.
I have to catch my breath because this is going to be long. Our guest today, he is a former Power League Tag Team Champion, a former Top Rope Wrestling Tag Team Champion, a former NCW Tag Team Champion, a former WCWC Tag Team Champion, a former Chaotic Wrestling Tag Team Champion, a former Liberty States Tag Team Champion, a former WXWC4 Tag Team Champion, a former Alpha 1 Tag Team Champion, a former LPW Hard Knocks Champion, a former LPW Heavyweight Champion, a former Liberty States Heavyweight Champion, a former GTS Heavyweight Champion, a former CCW World Heavyweight Champion, a former Chaotic Wrestling New England Champion, a former Chaotic Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, a former NCW Heavyweight Champion, a former APW Coast, I don't know if I said that right, I can't read my own handwriting, Heavyweight Champion, a Limitless Heavyweight World Champion. He was a participant in the 2018 Super 8. He is Retro Anthony Greene.
I actually also forgot to add Top Rope Promotions Interstate Champion. I thought of that as you were going. Sorry.
Well, that is it. That is the last one.
Yes, I believe.
And you officially win for the longest intro in the history of the Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was a really long intro. I was
I felt like it was over, and it's like, all right, thanks for joining us.
I was like, all right, thank you. That's been an hour long, and have a good night.
All right, so this week, I know you're an avid listener of the show, Anthony. We do Man Behind the Curtain when we discuss the guy running a wrestling promotion. Now, normally we've talked to people that have been around for a while, have run on numerous shows on numerous occasions, but this is going to be different in the sense you recently ran your first ever wrestling show, if I'm correct.
My first ever show where my money was like on the line. Yes.
All right. So usually we get the bitter or the people who are worn out. This is going to be like a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
Like a whole new thing. It was on August 18th, 2019, Gardner, Massachusetts, and it was 01 Northeast Wrestling.
Hell yeah.
So, before we get into too much, I'm going to ask you the trivia question.
Yeah.
February 13th, 1997, Shawn Michaels forfeits on Monday Night Raw the heavyweight championship and declares he's lost his smile. What New England city did that TV taping take place?
So, I want to start by saying that this is a very historic night for multiple reasons. Not only was this the night Shawn Michaels lost his smile, but I am like 90% sure this was the last television appearance from Gorilla Monsoon. I've also wrestled in this building, in this very city. The city is Lowell, Massachusetts, at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium.
You are correct.
This is so much bullshit. See what I'm talking about?
And he gets extra credit for the bonus question.
It's bullshit because he knows everything. Literally everything. I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday.
All right, so let the record show. As far as the trivia goes, Julian Starr 0, our guest 1. So before we get into the 01 Northeast show, I want to just give anybody who might not be familiar with Anthony Greene a little bit of your own background in the world of professional wrestling.
Sure. So I've been wrestling for 7 years now. I started as a referee back in 2009, but I've actually been around since 2006 when I was 13 years old. Found a not-so-good wrestling school in Holbrook, Massachusetts called Strictly Ruthless Wrestling.
Who was the trainer there?
His real name is Mike Medina, not to be confused with Congo Mike Medina.
Not the Mike.
He wrestled under the name Chris Razor at Yankee Pro Wrestling. Basically, he maybe wrestled for like a year and a half and bought a ring and like thought it was okay to teach bumps. He's still a friend of mine to this day. Really cool guy. He's totally out of wrestling at this point. I actually met Tarzan. He probably doesn't remember this, at a UFO show in South Boston, and it was at that the Expo Center, like that building next door, like the Teachers Union Hall.
I think I was in a battle royal, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a different show. That was at the Dorchester Armory.
Okay.
I was taking bumps before the show. And I was like fucking 14 years old, and you're like, who trained you? I'm like, oh, I trained at SRW in Holbrook, Massachusetts. And then you just kind of like, oh, right.
You do the who?
He was probably being nice because I was literally 14 years old. I'm taking hard buckles and face bumps and just like, I'm literally doing like the squat down, arms crossed, like practicing my back bumps for no reason, just to be like, hey, maybe I'll get booked.
I don't remember that, I gotta be honest.
But yeah, so that's kind of how it started. And my first official match was on May 6th, 2012, right down the street in Haverhill, Mass at Kids Fest against one of the hosts of this podcast. And it's not the guy I'm looking at. It's actually Julian Starr. He super kicked my face off.
Yes.
I literally I won't say he knocked me out because it was like probably the first like real like thing I've ever got hit with in my life. Like, I've never been in a fight. Like, I was out cold like for half a second, and all I remember is he turned my face and said, "Don't die on me," and then gave me like a Shawn Michaels-esque stomp to the face, and I started moving. But like, I thought that super kick, I was like, I just need to lay here because it's like 90 degrees today and I'm dead. I remember I had the worst headache after that show, not because of what you did necessarily, but it was like I was nervous so I wouldn't eat or anything, and like I wouldn't drink water, and it was such a hot day, even like early May.
Yeah, that was a super hot day. That was fun though because I was born and bred in Massachusetts, Haverhill, Massachusetts, and so that was literally like within walking distance of where I live. So it was cool to wrestle there.
You didn't even have your gear.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't. I had to go home. No, I did because I wrestled in gear. If you watch our match.
No, you did, but you didn't show up. You just showed up to hang out, and they were like, "Oh, do you want to wrestle on the second show?" Because it was like two different halves. It was like a battle royal, 5 matches, maybe 2-hour break, and then another battle royal and 5 more matches. And I was there to referee or wrestle in a battle royal under a mask. And they're like, no, it was I have to do it. It was Big Woody. You're wrestling in a singles match against Julian.
It was pretty fantastic. I had a lot of fun doing that. And to be fair, the super kick was only thrown that way because Chase Del Monte taught me how to throw a super kick.
Why wasn't it in my ribcage? Just kidding.
Save your spot. No, that was a fun match, and I had no idea. You might have told me at the time, but like I said, my memory retention's horrendous. You might have told me at the time, but I didn't know that was your first match, and your gear was pretty fucking amazing.
Oh, so let me just, close your eyes for a second, listeners. Try to imagine this, all right? Young, fiery babyface, clean-cut Anthony Greene, looking real good, chubby, wearing a blue singlet, some white and blue plaid shorts, blue and black, high spots, $49.99 kick pads with my black and blue Zig Tech Reebok sneakers. And I decided to come out to the ring. I was like, my entrance gear, I got to wear a t-shirt to the ring because I'm cool. I wore a championship midget wrestling t-shirt to the ring. Don't know. And the finish was a Stone Cold Stunner.
Yes, it was.
All right, so in New England wrestling, you're pretty hot right now. So most of I can't imagine our listeners don't know who you are if they are actual true fans of New England wrestling. What made you decide I'm going to run my own show?
I think I've always wanted to run my own wrestling shows, not necessarily put my own money into it, but like be a booker.
Yeah.
And I think at this point in my career, I'm at like I'm kind of rolling. I'm kind of hot right now, and I was like, if there's any time to do it, it's now, because I don't like I can't fail. And I always say like, I'm not saying I won't fail, but like I have to do everything in my power not to. And that's kind of like when I started growing out the mustache. I'm like, all right, I look absolutely ridiculous, but I need to at least try to make this work for like, I gave myself a year to make the retro or retrosexual character work. And clearly it did. So I thought like, all right, I have this certain day available. I guess we'll go into the whole how I got in touch with Zero1 USA in a second. But basically, things kind of just aligned, and it worked out where I could run shows. And I was like, let me give it a go. Like, even if this is a one and done and I fail miserably, at least I tried.
I think that's good advice because not only in wrestling but in life, I feel if everybody just said, hey, I'm going to try it, even if I fail, I think the world would be a better place.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly.
And so
That's a Michael Scott quote, right?
I have no idea. I heard it once somewhere. And running a wrestling show is something you've always wanted to do?
Even in 2014, the town next to me, Stoughton, Massachusetts, I was friendly with, like, not the mayor, but, like, one of the guys in the board. And he was like, oh, I want to bring wrestling to, like, the July 3rd fair, the festival or whatever. So, like, they gave me, I think it was, like, it wasn't a lot, maybe, like, $1,200. And they're like, you can run a show. So, like, I was, like, working and, like, training at Top Rope at the time. So I just called it a Top Rope show. But, like, you know, I did the whole money thing. The check was in my name. I paid everybody. I rented the ring. I did all of that stuff. So that was, like, my first taste of running a show. And that was, like, right before my 21st birthday. So, like, that kind of, like, I already wanted to do it. And that kind of gave me the itch, like, oh, this would be really cool. But, like, I never did something where I was, like, playing with my own money. I shouldn't even use the word play because it's literally the biggest gamble.
All right, so at what moment, like how long ago before the show did you say, all right, I'm doing this, my money? Like how long of the prep time from the day you decided you do it took place between then and the actual show happening on August 18, 2019?
So I find that like I will be very much like, all right, I'm going to run a show, and like for years now, at least 2 or 3 years, I'll like go in my phone with all my wrestling dates. I'll put a date down and be like, I'll just write my show always. And then I'll never look for a building. I'll never advance and make anything happen ever. And it was around like, I wanted to run a show on my birthday, Friday, whatever, August 23rd, but I wanted to do it here, and I wanted it to be more like a variety show.
You say here?
Here at the school, sorry. Okay. I should say we were at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, 100 Belmont Street in North Andover, Massachusetts. I think we can, open classes are available, sign up. So open, or whatever, I'm not going to do the whole bit.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I wanted to do the show here at the school. And maybe like have it be like a not like a secret show kind of thing, like, oh, only 50 tickets available, whatever we could fit in here, and just have it be like, I own a Doink the Clown costume. So I was like, oh, I'll have Doink the Clown wrestle this guy. Like maybe I'll book Tony Atlas and have him wrestle as Saba Simba. I don't know. Like I just wanted to do like a ridiculous, kind of like Joey Janela-esque show for my birthday because I thought it'd be funny and I can run a show and it's kind of low cost and everything. And then I started talking to this guy. His name is David Cavazos. He runs Zero1 USA in the Midwest. It's in Illinois. And him and I have been talking about coming in for bookings or whatever. It just hasn't worked out. But I told him like how I wanted to run shows. And I loved the old like NWA independent territories. Like NWA New England, NWA On Fire, Wild Side, whatever, all the NWAs. And I thought it'd be really cool to bring something similar back. And there was like a Zero1 USA Alaska. And there was like a Zero1 USA Australia. So like they kind of had it going on, but like those companies are both like gonzo. So the only ones that exist are, Zero1 in Japan, and then there's Zero1 USA based out of Illinois. So I said, what if we do like a similar like sister brand, and I'll be Zero1 USA Northeast or Zero1 Northeast. I'll strictly run this region. I also thought it would help like for me personally, like, all right, maybe I can get a carload, me, DL Hurst, whomever. We can drive up, we can go do a Midwest show, get those guys and myself, paid more experience, and they can do the same thing. Grab a carload of 4 or 5 guys and do it that way. So I decided I wanted to run my own show. And then I started looking at weekends after I saw Big Time Wrestling and UFO Wrestling were all running on my birthday. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to outdraw Big Time, and I'm not going to run another indie show half an hour away from where UFO's running. So I kiboshed that, and I started looking at Sundays because I had like 3 Sundays off in a row. I was like, Sundays are a good day. There was like the 11th, but I was like, that's the pay-per-view, SummerSlam. Let me look into the 18th. And I started just like asking talent without really confirming anything. I was like, this is a real, like don't even pencil this in, but are you available? And everyone I wanted was free. I was like, all right, this is a little more doable. And then I was like, let me just mess around. Let me start looking for buildings. Like I'm just like I would look up on Google and I would call a few places. Like one place quoted me like $1,200, and like it wasn't even that nice of a place.
Yeah.
Finally, like Evie, the saint, she goes, I found this building in Gardner. It's called the Eagles. I'm like, oh, okay. She goes, I already put a deposit down. I'm like, what? Like, I haven't even seen this place. She goes, here are pictures. I'm like, all right, that looks doable. Honestly, she goes, yeah, honestly, the deposit was real cheap. It was like $200 for the deposit. Like, that wasn't even the deposit. That was all of it. Like, the building was just $200, and she just put it down right away. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll message Fury and Chase and see if I can rent the ring.
Yeah.
And they were cool with that. So, yeah, she kind of forced my hand. I guess it comes down to she forced my hand, and that happened maybe late May. But that's when I started booking talent. And then I think it was like either very late May or like June 1st-ish, I like announced that I was going to try and add another notch in my belt buckle or another feather in my cap and try to promote shows.
So would you say that if she hadn't done that, maybe the show wouldn't have happened?
Honestly, probably not.
So
Yeah.
a lot of this was hypothetical, and you just were kind of dreaming it up. But
And then I think she knows that I'll like say stuff and I'll just like not follow through, or she thought I was super serious and just said, okay, I'll do it.
well, you better be careful, because knowing that's one of her traits now, just be aware you're going to come home one day and it's going to be like, hey, guess what?
I'm pregnant.
We have a house. We're moving.
Oh, I really just want to get out of my parents' house. Oh, don't worry, we're already taken care of.
It's done. It's happening.
So do you have a partner, or is it all you financially? Like,
Financially, it is 100% me.
Okay.
I would consider Evie a partner, though she's not putting any money in. Like, the amount of work she's done, she got us a bank account, like, strictly for that.
yeah.
She helped get the building, like I said. She's the one that contacted the police and got the police detail that we needed for the show, which we can talk about as we continue this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
She did like a lot of the groundwork. She rented the chairs we needed. Like she got all of that done for me. And basically, she's the promoter. I'm the money mark.
So she did.
That's what it comes. She did
the prep work.
She did like the stuff. Like I know wrestling.
Yeah.
But she has a marketing degree and a business degree, so she knows that side. So I was like, listen, like I'll take care, like I'll book Cheeseburger and Sumi Sakai. You figure out what we need. And like I got the posters, like I guess we'll go into that as well. But yeah, more or less, I'm rambling. That's kind of how it all got thrown together.
All right, and you mentioned the 0-1. I mean, were there any stipulations or anything, or could you just do whatever you want and he was fine with it? I mean, it didn't have to be like, well, it's associated with my company, so you have to do this, you can't do this, anything like that.
So I was nervous that it was going to be like that, because like if you signed up with the NWA back in the day or whatever, it was like $500 a year. All the refs had to have an NWA ref shirt. Like you had to bring in an NWA world champion like once a year.
It's very strict.
Very strict. Yeah. This is way more lenient, and I think it's more of like because him and I have kind of become friends, and I'm very friendly with his like heavyweight champion, Jake Parnell or the Warhorse, and I didn't have to even pay for the name because he didn't want any money.
Yeah.
The agreement was I'll use his insurance. So like I have promoter's insurance. It's all very legitimate. It's licensed under 01 USA Northeast, Anthony Greene. It's under my name and stuff. The agreement was I use a similar logo. So it's the 01 USA logo, but just with like a New England, the unofficial New England flag is the logo. And I just told him like, hey, it's not going to be right away because I need to like get my P's and Q's and funds in check. But the plan is to get your guys here and to get my guys there. Like that was like the handshake agreement. Nothing was signed or anything.
Well, I got to say, I'm actually kind of impressed. I assumed not a personal reflection of you. I just assumed it was going to be a half-assed story, being that it was a first-time wrestling. You hear all the indie companies, they come up all the time, So that's fully what I was expecting. I'm actually impressed. This sounds very professional.
Yeah, I co-signed that. I genuinely thought this was going to be like, hey, I worked hard, saved up a ton of money, and I just really wanted to run a wrestling show to see what it was like. So, yeah, this sounds like it was a very awkwardly calculated situation.
Wheeler Yuta, who was on the show, we'll get into that obviously, was very upset when I handed him an envelope with his name on it and had him sign a waiver, and I had him sign a receipt for what I paid him. He goes, I was hoping for like the good brother handshake with like a 20. And I was like, sorry, man. Sorry I let you down.
He hasn't heard the term good brother does not apply.
It doesn't apply in this podcast.
So we ask these kind of questions a lot. We've had other guys, never had a booker, but we've had promoters and owners of companies. Mm-hmm. And the first question we always ask is, was this going in, are you going to take over the world, or is this just, I want to do it, I'm going to make sure I do this, at least this one show?
Definitely more so, let's see how this first one goes, but the goal was to run 3.
Okay.
And if I lost a solid amount of money consecutively 3 shows, I was gonna, all right. I gave it the old college try, but it was no good.
Yeah.
I could have called the promotion anything I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted, my other idea for a name was PWI, Pro Wrestling Influence, but that sounds really snooty. Like, oh, you're the influence for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But like, I look at companies like Chaotic. Chaotic can be branded anywhere. It's not New England Championship Wrestling, Limitless Wrestling. You can bring that show anywhere. Beyond Wrestling, anywhere. I wanted to make it clear that I'm keeping it in the New England Northeast region. I'm not trying to take over the world. I just want to run the best possible regional wrestling show I can.
So you want a territory type thing?
Yeah, just I want like, I'm running my first show is in Mass. My upcoming show's in Rhode Island. If I could figure out a way to maybe run New Hampshire or do something with Randy Carver in Maine, run Vermont would be cool because there's nothing good up there, Like, that's the idea. Just keep it regional, keep it in the New England Northeast area. Like, I'm not trying to kill Limitless Wrestling. I'm not trying to run Beyond Wrestling out of business. Like, it's very strictly like, I'm having fun doing this. I'm going to run on Sundays when no one else like really messes with shows. I'm going to keep it to my small little Gardner town. Maybe try a little spot show here in Johnston, Rhode Island here. Who knows, wherever here and there. Like, just keep it very compact and in one vicinity.
And so when you already previously mentioned that you rented the ring from Brian, and so that covered that base. When it came to production, whether entrance setup, music, all that jazz, how did you weigh your option? Who did you settle on, and why?
So entrance, like, I really didn't even have it like planned. I was like, oh, I hope Chaotic just brings their curtains, which is what it was.
Okay,
it was just 2 of those big curtain boys, and then I said, all right, let's make it look USAE. So it was like 2 black curtains on the left and right, and then the middle curtains, one was red, one was blue. Whatever, USA colors.
I gotcha. That's
That's all I needed for the entranceway. I didn't need an arcway or anything for the first show. I wasn't trying to spend $1 million. Like, the show was already like 50% more expensive than I thought it was going to be. And then sound, like, I could have went cheap and just been like, hey, so-and-so, can you just bring a crappy speaker or whatever? But I wanted, like, to work with someone that I at least trusted. Wayne's really good. Mm-hmm. So I booked Wayne, paid the extra money to have him there.
Just to kind of give fans a perspective, and honestly, it's going to give me perspective because you don't really know. And a lot of times, and I don't know if you're going to feel comfortable doing this, but a lot of times people don't realize how much money it's going to take to run a show. And I remember talking to you about it.
I'll give you all the deets.
Yeah. So I remember talking to you about it, and you had said exactly what you just said earlier, was it's a lot more expensive than I absolutely thought it was going to be. So what was a budget that you expected?
$2,000.
Okay, so you expected to spend in total for entrance, ring, venue, talent, $2,000.
Yep.
What did you end up spending?
I hope that I have the number right here, and I hope this, like, it might be off by like $100 or something.
Fine.
But the last number I wrote down, and I'll actually tell you exactly what was being paid for first. Yep. So talent, obviously, referees, clearly, ring announcer, building, here's the surprise: police detail. I needed 2 cops.
2.
And it because I was expecting more than 75 people, and the building serves alcohol, so they wanted 2 cops there.
Gotcha.
This is where I got screwed.
Posed.
It should have cost maybe like $400 for the 2 cops, minimum 4 hours each, so 8 hours. They called the building, not even me or Evie, on Friday before the show, and they say, oh, by the way, we forgot. We just looked at the calendar. It's a Sunday. We need time and a half. So the cops ended up costing $647.
Fuck.
Is that combined?
Combined.
Okay.
Combined?
So police detail, the chaotic ring, sound, trans for 3 of the cars that drove up from PA, New York, and then there was another New Jersey PA car. When I booked Grimm's flight, I forgot to put on the carry-on, so I reimbursed him for the carry-on, even though he didn't care if I gave it to him. The extra fees for chairs. I thought the building had enough chairs. The building only had maybe 130 chairs, so we rented another 100 chairs, and then ordered pizza and candy and chips. Before whatever I got back, the total amount was $4,567.
Wow. Jesus
because
Christ.
of all the added police detail, the added chairs, like just all those little added on things. And then here's the other add-on. Harry Aaron came up, and Evie didn't tell me this, but she was gonna just kayfabe me and pay Harry herself out of pocket. Like, then you're going to be out money.
Yeah.
And then I had Caleb Seltzer do the video, hard cam and roaming cam, and the agreement was he was going to do it for free because I like did him a favor and did a signing at like a Buffalo Wild Wings. But the added expenses came down to like I'm still one of the boys. So like at the end of the night, like some of the guys that were in the preliminary opener, like threw them $20. Scotty Slade came down just to help out and do commentary, and so did Johnny Miyagi. So I threw them both $20. Smart Mark Sterling came just on a whim, so I threw him money. I was like, Caleb, like you're about to edit a fucking 2.5-hour show. Like, let me throw you $100 here. I paid Harry. Harry's not cheap. So here and there. So yeah, that's $4,567.
So it was almost $5,000.
Yeah, man. It was, and I said I was expecting 2,000, maybe 2,500 tops.
And when you were thought about paying the boys, because you're one of the boys, you're one of the guys, and you know what it's like to, 1, get screwed on pay, I'm sure. 2, you know how important it is for you to make money because you're putting your body on the line and yada, yada, yada. So, and I'm stating this for any future promoters, any current promoters, you did not depend on the door to pay the boys.
I had everyone's envelope made the Wednesday before the show. Everyone was paid for, taken care of. I think I didn't have like one person's pay like ready, like in an envelope. So it was Malonis. So I just texted him and said, "Yo, can I just PayPal you right now?"
Yeah.
And I just paid him right then and there. And at least I had the receipt from the PayPal, so like I didn't have to have him sign anything.
But other than that, you had a pre-plan of how you're going to pay the boys and took care of the talent, because without the talent, you have no show. Show respect.
Yeah, what I did was the goal was to not use any of my personal money from my bank account. If I had to do that, like I probably shouldn't be doing this. So like, let's say I had like a good weekend on the independents. Like let's say I made $600. I'd throw 200 in a little jar. That's for the show. Put 400 in the bank. Then let's say ticket sales are doing well. So by the end of it, with sponsorships, ticket money, and my like cutout paydays that I put away, I used all that money to cover the show. So I had enough already. And none of it was my own, I guess, personal like work money or from my bank account. Everything was just straight cash. Like I didn't have to worry about anything.
All right, so we always ask people, there's usually people fall under one of 3 categories when running a show. Either A, they want to make money. B, they just have a love for the business and want to do it. Or C, they're a Mark who wants to be the spotlight top guy and they don't want anybody else telling them what to do.
No one will ever admit that, but...
No. Would you say you fall under any of those categories?
Probably just the fact that I love wrestling and I've always wanted to just book my own shows. That's probably it. Like I wasn't expecting, like honestly, I thought... Like, I made very little money, but money was made. But the hope was I break even. Even if I lost $100, I would have called it a win, to be honest.
co-sign that. Perspective is reality, and so with Anthony Greene, as we started earlier with, he's been hot right now. He's like one of the top performers of almost every promotion in New England, if not some of the around the world. Either way, I think this can like more or less wipe the possibility that he's trying to put himself over as the top guy or trying to be,
He can defend himself.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of times
I don't believe that you would be. I mean,
I do want
but
to
I
say
have to ask
this.
the question. My fans demand it.
So I actually fight with Evie and I fight with Randy Carver about this. I talk to Randy a lot about my ideas, and like on every show, I either want to be like the mixed tag match with Evie, just have the fun match, like that I don't have to like worry about anything. I'm not being showcased. But Randy brought up a good point. Like, I'm a name in the area. The fans aren't going to want to see me in a comedy match every single show. I'll drop the news now because by this time it'll probably already be announced. Like for the November show, I'm bringing in Brian Pillman Jr.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it'd be like, he's a cool guy. He's never wrestled in Massachusetts before, so I thought it'd be a cool guy to bring in. I was like, who do I put him in the ring with? And Randy goes, you should wrestle him. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. No, he's not like a big name. Like I'm not wrestling Tito Santana or anything. But like
Brian Pillman's son.
Yeah, it's like he's got a name behind him. There's notoriety. He does MLW and all that other stuff. So it's like, does it look bad that I'm wrestling him on my own show, or are fans looking at it as, oh crap, I get to see Anthony Greene versus Flying Brian Jr.
I think fans look at it as, great, I get to see Anthony Greene versus Flying Brian Jr. I think other workers are going to say, what a fucking mark, he's putting himself. That's just how it's going to be.
I figured, yeah.
It's going to be that way because I'm not kidding. Like, you just stating that to me, although I know different, my mind's first reaction was, what a fucking mark, he's going to book himself against the top talent.
Same here.
And you know what I mean?
In my own head, I'm like, I really shouldn't do this.
Yeah, and it's just because I think it's just the way we were brought up. It's just that's how we view wrestling, unfortunately. So I think fans will be excited. I think the boys, of course, we're always going to think like, first thing is he's a mark. And again, it's one of those things where you can explain it all day. You're going to tell people, hey, no, it's for this reason. It's not going to matter.
One person that does it that I think is the justification is Ethan Page. From Canada. Yep. He runs.
You mean Julian?
His name is also Julian. He runs Alpha One in Canada, where I'm a former tag team champion mentioned earlier. He runs his own shows. He's a huge star on the independents. He wrestles for Impact. Like, he's booked himself against Carlito. He's teamed with D'Lo Brown in his own promotion. He's wrestled David Arquette in his own promotion. I don't think any of the fans there, even most of the boys, I think understand. Like, all right, this crowd wants to see Ethan Page versus so-and-so. So hopefully, the people on my shows, at least the people on my shows, the wrestlers, understand like, all right, AG's not putting himself over because he's the promoter and booker or whatever, but he's doing it for like the betterment of the show.
Sometimes it's just not looking at it in that light. And maybe this podcast will shed that different outlook for people, and they can be like, oh, that makes more sense, and have a better opinion about it.
If I could be the match 2 heel and lose via crossbody every show, like, that'd be the dream.
Or lose by a regular elbow drop, am I right, pal?
Exactly.
Or just not wrestle on my own shows at all. It was so stressful being in a mixed tag match on the first show. Like, worrying about, all right, is Lanny Poffo upstairs for his segment right now? Where's Danny Davis? I don't know. Like, just making sure, like, everything happened the way that I needed it to, and still had to call my match. Super stressful. I hated every second of it.
It's weird you say that because we had a previous promoter on the show who also wrestles on the show. And I asked him, I said, with all that's going on, have you ever considered not wrestling on your own show? In an instant said no, would never even consider it.
Do you know why I also put myself and why Evie's on all the shows? We cost $0.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm saving maybe $150, $200. I don't know what I'm saving, really. I don't know what I'm worth.
He's talking about Todd Sopel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm
not afraid to say, Todd Sopel,
Yeah.
I'm just, it's the same type of thing.
Yeah, putting
you
it
would
out there,
consider not being on the show, right? Because of all the stuff that goes into it.
Oh, yeah, no. Or if anything, like, probably for that show in November, I'll probably be the opening match. And then I could just, like, I'll call it all day and then just worry about the rest of the show after that. Like, so I think that's the smartest. I don't want to, like, I put myself on semi-main last time because I thought it'd be easier, but it was actually more difficult because I'm like, Sorry, I walked away.
I know.
I'm gonna get back into the mic. Blah blah blah. Call. Oh man, it's intermission. I'll be right back. I gotta tell them we're only gonna do a 10-minute intermission instead of a 15 because we're running a little behind. Because Chase Del Monte and Brian Malonis had to go over their time.
Chase Del Monte is not known for going over his time ever. So it must have just been a one-time mistake.
So when you announce it,
Yeah.
any heat? Other promoters, other owners of companies? Anyone mad that
No,
there's
but
another guy opening in a company?
Especially because you compete for these other companies.
my inbox though was flooded.
You mean you made a bunch of new friends?
So here is the thing, like I debated whether or not announcing that I was the promoter. I was like, is this a good idea? But back to perception is reality. I feel like myself as a character and as a person on social media, like Anthony Greene is like your friend. I'm a lot of people's friends. Like I like the fans. I like to talk to the fans. So I feel like I have a different
Outlook or
not outlook
image?
Reality. Oh, not reality. Why am I saying reality? Relationship is the word I was
yeah.
looking for. Reality. What? Hold for edit. A different relationship with the fans than other promoters do. Different than what Jamie would have had or with Todd Sopel would have had, et cetera, where I talk to a lot of fans at shows, online. So I feel like they are automatically kind of more emotionally invested. Like when I won the Limitless Wrestling title, the crowd thought they won the title with me. It's kind of a cool thing. So I thought, hey, I'm running a show. Let me announce it that I'm running a show, and I think these people are going to be more apt to like come and support. Maybe not even the show, but at least support me, which is kind of what ended up happening. But yeah, there was no heat. No promoter was like, blah 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 blah. I also made a point to make sure I was running in an area that hasn't been touched in 10 years. There's nothing in Gardner. Like there's trees. So it's like I'm running in an area. Actually, I didn't even know EWA used to run there. When I was just randomly talking to Dr. Heresy at a Beyond show. He goes, wait, you're running in Gardner? Where are you running? I'm like, the Eagles. He goes, I used to run the Eagles. He was so excited. He wasn't like grizzled, like bitter, like, oh, that's where I used to run. He was like, let me know if you need any help. I'll tell you where I used to flyer, where I used to poster. If I'm available that day, I'll show you the loop I used to do. Like super help. Everyone was more helpful than hurtful.
I'll tell you, I think it's a lot of it because of just you in general. AG, as you know, there are a lot of people in wrestling that can be bitter or just have a two-faced way of looking at things.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything negative about you. Not a single thing. And you've always...
When I was a kid. That was annoying.
But see, like, you were annoying,
but it was always me.
Yeah. And you haven't changed. You've just grown up.
Yeah.
But you're still a fan of wrestling. You're still a goofball. You're still a ham. But you've never been evil to anyone. And you've always been helpful to people. So I think that's why... no one can ever have a problem with you.
Wait till I start ripping down other places' posters.
I hear that's what gets you the most hated person in the world.
All right, on that note, we're going to take a little break. But when we come back, we're going to have more with Anthony Greene talking 01 Northeast right here on Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way.
You hear about chaotic wrestling's past on Let the Chaos Begin. But if you want to see its present and future, then go to Chaotic Wrestling Live. You can see all the Chaotic Wrestling action live and in person across New England. Go to chaoticwrestling.com/tickets to see the current schedule of shows and to purchase tickets. It's all the action of Chaotic Wrestling live at chaoticwrestling.com.
All right, now, we need to learn how to see the blanket truth all the time, right in the everyday stuff. And that's what this is for.
Why?
Why what?
Why do I need to learn how to see the blanket thing all the time in the everyday stuff?
Well, you wouldn't want to miss out on the big picture, would you?
And we're back with Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way. And we're here with Retro Anthony Greene talking about Zero1 Northeast.
what it's like to start a promotion for the very first time and run your very first show. And from what it sounds like, Anthony Greene has a good head on his shoulders, and he approached this in the correct way. He had all of his ducks in a row, and he also had a powerful lady by his side to help him with everything. So
Force me.
But honestly, I think this was very well done.
Thank you.
The way you're explaining it and so on and so forth. So with that said, with every wrestling show, you have to book talent. And so I'm always curious because when you were announcing your talent, I'll be honest, I was kind of like taken back just because I know of who wrestles on the independents and I know who's who and what names are there and whatever.
Yeah.
And so when you started announcing people, I was like, this isn't the group of people that I expected Anthony Greene to pull in.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you, why did you book the people you did? What decisions did you weigh? And as far as pay goes, did you plan to pay them more than other promotions?
All right.
Before you answer, I'm just, for any of our fans who don't know, I'm going to just read the lineup of the show.
Yes,
So
please.
it's,
Thank you.
All right, so we have D.L. Hurst versus Charlie Cashew versus Ricky Archer versus C.J. Cruz. We have Coast to Coast versus Brian Malonis and Chase Del Monte. And I'm sorry about this if I pronounce this wrong. Wheeler Yuta versus Kid
nailed
Curry. All right. Chris Statlander versus Harlow O'Hara. We had I'm going to skip over promos for now and just talk about the actual matches. Josh Briggs versus John Silver. Alex Reynolds versus Demon Louis Ortiz. Jimmy Ray versus Christian Casanova. Cheeseburger and Sumi Sakai versus Anthony Greene and Ava Everett. And Bear Bronson versus Simon Grimm.
I think you got a little mixed up because it does say promo, but there was also Nunzio versus Tyler Cintron. No big deal.
I don't think it's on my...
Yeah, it's not on the
I
list.
apologize. My research... No.
there.
I'm sorry. The promo... I got
Let
thrown
in,
off by
right
the
in.
promo.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So...
All right. So when it comes to why I booked and who I booked,
and I just want to state, you did have Lanny Poffo on the show as well.
and Dangerous Danny Davis.
From Dover, New Hampshire.
I will go over why everyone was on the why everyone and
Like what your mindset was
Yes.
for why you picked who you picked.
So when it comes to like the matches, we'll start with that. Like I feel every roster in like the actual New England rosters are all very similar. You're going to see the same guys at Liberty States Wrestling that you're going to see at APW, that you're going to see at Lucky Pro. Some of those similar guys are going to be on chaotic shows. You're going to just see the same talent revolving. But then you go to like a Beyond Wrestling show and you're going to strictly see every super indie wrestler to ever exist, basically. I wanted to find a mix of local guys that I think are the elite, I guess, in the area, a mix of guys that are never in the area, like rare opportunities to see, hoping that more fans are going to be likely to come, and then a mix of guys that have not gotten opportunities to really shine yet. So that's where I came up with the talent for the actual show. Lanny Poffo and Danny Davis kind of fell in my lap. I'm friends with this guy, Marty. He's I wouldn't say famous, but he's a really good dental surgeon in the Mass area, and he loves pro wrestling. He's really good friends with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I wrestled Hacksaw last summer. Let me just pick that name up real fast. I took an inside out bump on the 3-point stance, like a Rikishi bump. And Hacksaw loved me. Couldn't stop putting me over to Marty. Not even me. He's put me over to Marty. And he's like, oh, he was so good. He's such a good kid. Odds are 2 weeks later, we're on another show with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, me and the girls, the Platinum Honeys. And Marty didn't meet the Platinum Honeys yet. He goes, oh, who are these girls? Da 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 da. He's done stuff with Chaotic before, I guess. Like he does like charity benefits in Lowell. Like they're not wrestling shows though. They're just like balls and like whatever food things. And he pays people pretty well to like come and just like take pictures with people. I wasn't available, but the Honeys were. So the Honeys were Hacksaw's date at this event. And we stayed in contact with Marty. And I know he does a lot of charity work. So I just messaged him. I said, hey, like I can't pay anyone. I know you do a lot of charity work. I'm charging X amount for a table for my show. If you want a table, you can have one. If you're willing to bring a guest and you can donate the money to whatever charity you want, you can keep the money if you want. He goes, who do you want? I'll bring anyone you want. Like, I was like obviously out of his friends, he's friends with like Hacksaw, da-da-da. So he's like, let me get you Hacksaw. I'll get Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He wasn't available. He had like the Gathering, not of the Juggalos. There's a convention called the Gathering that happens in North Carolina. He had to do that. He goes, I can get you Lanny Poffo. No problem. Lanny got flown from the second night of the Gathering to my show. So I was like, that's like, I don't know if Lanny Poffo's a draw. Like, I don't think anyone's really care about Lanny Poffo, maybe. I announced Lanny Poffo, sold like 8 tickets that day. And I'm like, all right, that's profit because I'm not paying for the guy.
Yeah.
And then maybe 3 or 4 weeks before the show, Marty calls me out of nowhere. He goes, so I'm doing dental work for Danny Davis. Do you want him at your show? I go, like, do I have to like pay? He goes, nope, it's covered. Don't even worry about it. I'm like, if like I'm a worker, like I'll work people, but like when you're that nice, I'm not gonna like bleed you dry. And he's like literally such a good dude. I was like, if he's like coming in at a fair price, he lives in Massachusetts, so it's not like he's getting flown in.
Yeah.
Like if you can afford it and you're willing to, I ended up finding out he did it. Danny Davis just did it for the table, so he can sell his book and stuff. So like it didn't cost anyone anything, and I just thought like that was a two unique guys. Like Danny Davis hasn't done anything in the area in years, since probably Sparta days, and Lanny Poffo has literally never. Lanny Poffo has never been in the area. So at least like those two guys, you know, they're legends. I think maybe in that Gardner area, they'd be like more well known. I don't know like what the Gardner people think. I have no clue. So I thought that'd be unique. And then I personally brought in Simon Gotch or Simon Grimm. He was in NXT, obviously, and Nunzio. Nunzio, because I think he can still go. Like, he's still pretty good. He's really cheap. And he drives in, and he'll do the favor. 10 times out of 10, he'll always lose. Yeah. He like asked to lose, so I was like, oh sure, whatever. And then Gotch, I've become friends with him, and like he was cheap enough where I ended up working out a deal with this company, Connors Promotions, and they actually split him and Nunzio with me. So I saved money on both of them. They ran like the signing portion with them, and then I paid him for the wrestling. Gotch, like I ended up making Gotch like a real nice weekend of paydays because I had him do a seminar here at the school. He ended up doing an APW show, so I ended up getting the flight split 3 ways. So whatever, it was like what should have been $500 for him total with flight and everything ended up costing me like $200. So,
well, we all know how wrestling works, especially promoting and booking. Mm-hmm. Had to have been a lot of people that wanted to be on this show. Anybody, any heat from turning someone away?
No heat, but I definitely threw a lot of like, I'll keep you in mind for next time. But it just
that used to be my old go-to
as
a booker.
But did you really keep them in mind for next time?
Some of them, yeah.
Oh, okay.
One of the first people to message me was Brandon Watts from Milk Chocolate, and I told him I had nothing for him. Then he asked me about the second show.
How pumped were you, by the way, to be able to utter that phrase?
Dude, I love the power. I can't wait to be the champion. So it ended up working out like that he's available for the third show, and I have a spot for him on the November show. So, all right, cool, I'll throw you on that. I had something to say. Oh, it's weird, and I feel bad because like a lot of people will hit me up, but like I think you understand as a booker, like you have a vision.
Yeah.
Well, Tarzan was a booker?
I don't know if I mentioned that.
Like you have a vision, and you have not necessarily a roster in mind, but there might be a specific show you're like, all right, this is going to be it. Like I have this planned, or I know for a fact I want to fit, especially Chaotic back in the day. You had like the elite, you know what I mean? It's like, and then everyone wants to get into Chaotic. You're like, I don't have any spots available, like, and that's the same with me. Like I know I have like the core guys that I want to use, like Bear Bronson, Josh Briggs every show. I want to use Kid Curry as much as I can, Alex Reynolds as much as I can. I have to make sure I fit like my girlfriend on the show, especially in Gardner because she lives in the town and a lot of people come to see her.
Yeah.
Demon Ortiz for all the Gardner shows because he brings a solid amount of people being from Leominster.
Yeah.
So it's like there's people that I have to use, and like right there, that's if none of them wrestle each other, that's 6 matches right there. And even as you could tell by the card, like I overbooked it.
Yeah.
it was originally an 8-match card, and then the week before the show, Drew Cordero, who runs Beyond Wrestling, also runs Women's Wrestling Revolution. That show got canceled, but he already booked Harlow O'Hara's flight and felt bad. So I added an extra match just because, like, I think another cool thing with the 0-1 stuff is I am, like, as you're saying, like, I'm well known in the area. No one hates me, hopefully. So I feel like I have a good rapport with all the promotions. Yeah. I thought it'd be good business. All right, I'm going to save Drew on this one. So in the future, if I need something, like, maybe he'll help me out, you know? Well,
when you become a booker or promoter, you really learn who understands the wrestling business and who doesn't, because maybe you don't agree, I don't know, but there's a lot more to it than just how good of a worker you are. You know, it's like a look. Do you get over? Can you draw fans? Is you on a poster going to make the average Joe want to come to this show?
That plays like a major part in it. I think, like, there's some guys that, like, might not have the look right now that I think are getting there. Like, I look at, like, to be totally honest, I love him, but if I can book Charlie Cashew or I could book CJ Cruz, right now, I'm going to choose Cashew based on how he looks. CJ Cruz has been working real hard on his body, and he's looking better. And I think it's also a matter of, like, certain guys have been asking me, like, oh, like, what can I do for an opportunity? And for me, I feel like it's such a small company. You're either going to be the preliminary match or you're going to be on the main show. But, like, you need to look, like, the main show has had a lot of, like, pretty, like, elite talent in the area or on the independent. So it's like, make yourself a bigger name on the indies and give me a reason to want to use you. I'm not just going to throw you on because you're my friend.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's guys who I don't think particularly are talented, but they look like a star or they're over.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think everyone really gets that. Even guys who run companies, I don't think quite get that. So I can understand there's a lot of tough decisions.
Yeah.
Now, when it came to paying your talent, and I'm out of touch. I've been out of wrestling for, I think, 4 years or so. So when I was wrestling, the average payday was anywhere between $20 to $50. Like, you know, that was the average. The average was like 50.
Yeah.
And then
that was a good payday.
Yeah, a good
75 was whoa.
Yeah, 75
I remember.
Whoa, 100 was like, you were over if you got 100. So I don't know what it is now.
Way higher.
It is
50's
really?
the new 20.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
even I know that now.
I didn't realize that it had gone up. So did you pay your talent the average? Did you pay them what they were worth? And that's not the specials that you brought in, like Gotch and, like, basically just your core talent. Did you try to pay them more? Did you take care of them? Did you just stick with the standard around the business?
So what I did was, I thought it was tough for the first show, because I have nothing to back up what I'm running.
Yeah.
I can't be like, oh, the last show had 300 people. I can say that now, but at that point, I couldn't say anything. I have no proof. There's nothing. So it's like, I felt like I was more at their will, I guess.
Their
like
mercy?
Yeah, at their mercy, I guess. Where I couldn't really negotiate as much.
I gotcha.
If so-and-so said I need 150, I'm like, all right, yeah. So the highest paid indie guy was $150.
It's not bad.
Lowest paid was, I guess, 20.
Okay. Yeah, because you said you threw.
Yeah, I threw some guys money. So, like, I guess that was the range. But, like, more or less everyone and I agreed upon a rate. If they didn't, I did my best to give them, like, I guess, like, between $40 and $50. I thought that was fair.
Was there anyone you wanted that you couldn't get because you couldn't afford it?
No one that I couldn't afford, but I did have, like, so that's not the original card.
Okay.
The original card had Pat Buck on it, Rue Star. He was supposed to wrestle Demon Ortiz. He got signed by the WWE as a producer literally 2 weeks before my show.
Wow, I didn't know that.
What I thought would have been a show stealer, Logan Brothers versus Coast to Coast. Matt Logan double booked himself. He had a wedding the night before in Cleveland, Ohio. So there was no shot he was going to make it.
Yeah.
So then I had Brian and Chase.
Yeah.
Then Brian broke his foot.
Jesus.
So then I thought Malonis would be a good replacement for that.
Yeah.
I replaced Pat Buck with Alex Reynolds, who is great. And honestly, it probably worked out better that way. Like, after seeing his new stuff, he used to just kind of be like generic, like wrestler in tights. And he was doing like this handsome devil thing. And he has Smart Mark Sterling and his manager. And I just really liked how it all looked. And they got like real good heat. And like him and Louis had a like absolute banger. And then I had Danny Miles on the show. He actually wrestled in 0-1 in Japan in 2010.
Yeah, I saw the jacket.
So I thought it'd be real cool to at least have like an alum on the first show.
Yeah.
He has like, I don't know what it is, but he has like fluid in his knee. It literally looks like he has 2 kneecaps. So he drained it, like they drained like 5 cc's or whatever. I don't know if that's a lot. Is 5 a lot?
I have no idea.
10 cc's.
5 cc, I don't think it's that much.
Well, anyway, it was massive, and then they drained it, and it came back 2 days later.
Oh.
So he got pulled from the show, and I replaced him. It just so happened Wheeler Yuta asked me if anything was open. I was like, as a matter of fact, there is. And I thought him versus Kid Curry would be like the perfect match, because Kid Curry is very green still, but he's like a Naga champion and like a really good amateur wrestler and like grappler.
Yeah.
And Wheeler Yuta is also like an amateur wrestler and does more like that Chikara style technical wrestling, trained under Drew Gulak. So and he's a veteran. So I thought if anyone was going to be able to kind of rein him down, it was going to be Wheeler.
Now, you typically travel to most promotions as, you're Retro AG and you have the Platinum Honeys.
Yeah.
On this particular show, you had 1 Platinum Honey. Is there a reason why the other one was not in attendance? Did you just not want to book her?
She was originally booked for the WWR show to wrestle.
Okay.
And the show got canceled. So there was just if she came and hung out, like that would have been cool, but this
you had
just
no
never.
spot.
Originally, she was planned to be. I wanted Tyler Cintron to have like an entourage.
Yeah.
It was going to be Michelle or Angel Sinclair and Sydney Bacabella as like a trio.
Yeah.
But like she was just going to come out and manage, and then she got the opportunity to wrestle on the show. So I thought it made more sense.
I gotcha.
Well, I got to ask the question because I'm sure we've got cynical people in the wrestling business.
What?
What would you respond to someone who says, of course, of all the women Anthony Greene could have booked, he books his girlfriend?
She lives in the town, and 30 people came to see her and paid for tickets.
It's a business move, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, also,
I have to ask.
No, and then honestly, on top of that, like obviously, I'm going to be a little more lenient towards her and like want to push her a little bit. And I had the opportunity to book her and Sumi Sakai. Like I'd be a real dick not to like at least try to make her better.
Now, did you always have a plan to put her on the show, or did she have to fight for that spot?
Who, Evie?
Yep.
She claims, and this is not true at all.
Oh boy,
this is all hearsay.
this is gonna get you heat. You know that,
So
right?
I wasn't even like writing a card out. I was like, oh, maybe we were eating at Cheesecake Factory. I'm sure you've heard the story, which is why you brought it up.
Yes, I did.
I have to mention it's Cheesecake Factory, and where was I? I'm just like, oh, maybe we'll do Sumi and this person or Sumi and that person. She goes, you're not even going to put me on your first show in the town I live in? I was like, I'm just throwing ideas out there. Nothing. I literally haven't contacted anyone. At this point, I haven't even contacted Sumi. So this was during the like, this is possible days. And then she decided to book the venue on me.
Yeah.
So there was always obviously an idea to use her. I didn't know in what way.
There was just no concrete because, like you said before,
I didn't even have it planned that I was going to
going to
wrestle.
say this was all hypothetical. It wasn't an actual solid plan until she took the horse and carriage and
forced my hand.
forced the travel.
All right, so bell time, day of the show. How nervous are you? Like, an hour, 45 minutes before the show's actually starting.
I was actually more nervous driving there. I'm like, I hope the ring's there. I hope the chairs are being set up. I hope all this is happening.
You hope people are working?
I was not stressed when I went outside to my car, like to grab like posters or something to like block the door.
Yeah.
And I saw a line like 2 blocks down the street.
Nice.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
I took a picture of it. I can show you guys after if you guys want to post it or whatever.
That'd be great.
I was like, oh, all right, this is nuts. So I was like, all right, I'm not worried about that. Believe it or not, I am very like Josh said it when I grabbed the mic for like the meeting. He was like, "You live for this." I'm like, honestly, this is like, I get super uncomfortable like in a not pro wrestling promo setting when everyone's just watching me.
You are
also when I'm like the head, like I'm the leader.
Are you're if anyone who knows AG personally, you're a ham. But you're a ham in your own time. Mm-hmm. You don't like to be okay, go.
Yeah.
You don't like to be that guy. I'm the same way. I could be a goofball on my own, but if you're like, to me, what you're doing, what you're about to do is similar to when someone goes, "Hey, do that impression you do," and everyone just stares at you waiting for you to perform. And you're just like it's not on your own terms. It's like, now be a goat.
Yeah, so it was like the most like, in my head I had like this whole pep talk and everything, mm-hmm. and what ended up coming out of my mouth was, "Please say here when I say your name." And I made sure everyone was there. I just went match by match, told them how much time they had, who was going over, and I said, "Don't swear, don't spit. Basically, don't spit at don't spit at the fans, don't spit at the cell, don't spit at your opponents." That's a famous Drew Cordero line in his meetings. So I mentioned that. I mentioned like where to do the dives. Like, I had this whole pep talk where I was gonna be like, "Guys, look at everyone in this room. You will never. I'm gonna do it for you now that I'm fine with it. You guys will never wrestle on the same show together, like in this entirety." And like, I had this whole thing. "I know it's gonna be a good show because I booked every one of you. Like, I don't care if you believe in the name of the promotion. I appreciate you being here because you believe in me." And I said none of this. None of this was said. And I was like, "Doors are opening in 15 minutes."
Is it because you just felt like you were going to be judged for being like sounding stupid?
Maybe, or maybe it was just nervousness that I was like, it was actually go time.
Because I'll ask you, like, you've been in locker rooms where promoters do that whole big pep, like, let's fucking.
This is the dance.
Yeah, that whole bit. That whole bit. So
I think it also has to do with, like, I've heard Eddie Kingston do a locker room speech. I've heard Randy Carver and Drew Cordero, and I was like, all right, my speech isn't going to be better than any of theirs.
Okay.
Let me just run through this card, and like, I've already paid everyone. I just want to get this over with.
I've always hated the pre-locker room speech just because it's sad, because I know what they're doing and I know what they're saying is not bullshit, but I just am like, this is dumb.
I just hate, like, guys. Like, and everyone does it, and I actually appreciate it because, like, they're just trying to pump you up, like,
yeah,
pre-sales have been real good for this.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da. And it's just like,
they're trying to get you fired up so you can go out there and kill it.
I was doing that a lot on social media, though. Like, I had, like, a big roster Facebook Messenger where I was saying, guys, like, we've sold X amount of tickets this week. Like, tickets are going really well. Do your best to share this. Cut a promo if you can. But, like, I was being very promotery there. But then, like, once it was showtime, I was like, all right, match one. You guys have 8 to 10. So-and-so over on so-and-so. And then I did say 2 lines to pop myself. One, no one got the joke. And I said, then Lanny Poffo will come in and hit Sydney with his big one. And then I said...
That's almost as bad as an adult joke.
And then I said, me and Evie up on Burger and Sumi because I'm the booker. And everyone popped for that one.
Okay.
Ow, sorry.
There you
I
go.
hope I didn't ruin anything.
Well, as a booker, I've had to address locker rooms before, and I don't know if I've ever admitted to it. Deep down, I'm actually a pretty insecure person. So in my head, going into it, I've got all these ideas. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that.
Same.
And then I get in front of everybody, and then I'm like, I kind of lose
Straight
it
to the
all.
point.
Yeah, especially then, because I mean, I'm in front of like guys that have been, and the same with you. I'm in front of guys who have been signed to WWE already. Guys who are currently working for Ring of Honor. Some guys who have been to Japan.
Side note, it was so weird having Nunzio come up to me and ask me if something was okay to do. Like, asking my permission. It was like, I watched you wrestle in the Royal Rumble in 2003 in Boston. Whoa.
And now you're asking me for permission if it's okay if I, like, shoot the leg.
And I don't know how you feel. I could not get out of my head, who the fuck are you? You were an indie wrestler who never really had any success. Yeah, you're the booker now, but you're you're looking at a bunch of guys that have been successful in this business.
I feel that way. Sometimes I'll come here to the school and Fury will be like, Johnny V's not here, go run the beginner ring. I'm like, who am I? Why am I going to teach them how to do tackle, drop down, leapfrog?
Yeah.
Like, I'm nobody. I'm just Anthony. This is the problem. I still see myself, and I think people still see me as the 14-year-old kid that started. And I think in my head, I'm always going to be that kid to people. So like, it's in my own head where it's like, I'm never probably going to be like who I actually am or who I could be, you know? So I think that's like back to insecurities. That's
I think
mine.
sometimes people, like, everybody does it. You, like, your interaction with someone, you tend to think is more important than it is to them.
Yeah.
Like, you'll do something and you'll think, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. And like weeks later, you'll be like, oh, he's probably still mad at me. And that guy probably isn't even remembering the conversation.
Yeah, I have the same issue, and it is. I think it's just all wrestlers have this weird insecurity. Yeah, I'm a trainer here, but I promise you, every time I show up and I'm talking to these guys, the back of my head the whole time, I'm going, I didn't fucking do anything in wrestling. Why are you listening to me? I wasn't successful. So yeah, I can 100% agree with you there. I think we all kind of possess it.
Yeah, we're turning into Dr. Phil here. All right, so did you start the show on time? That's a big thing with a lot of shows. You know, the old TBS start time.
So there was a preliminary match that went on. Doors opened at 3:30.
Yep.
Preliminary went on at 3:45. That was the New England.
The New England Pro Wrestling Showcase.
Yes, I called it the
Pro Wrestling Academy Showcase. I'm sorry.
I called it something else. I don't even remember. It was like something future, like the Futures 4-Way or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, it was all Nepois students. DL Hurst with the big win over Ricky Archer, and then I believe they hit their time. They didn't go over, so it was probably like 3:55, and then I was like people were still coming in.
Yeah.
So I said, let's start it. Like, let's pretend this is a Saturday, Saturday night WC.
Saturday night?
We're going to start at 4:05. 4:05 bell time.
And why? I've always wondered this. I don't know if there's logic behind it because I'm so not aware of anything. That
Why we
happens in
do a
life.
preliminary match?
Well, yeah, you know what? I'm going to ask
damn it,
a
I
question.
said the
Yeah, because a lot of shows do that.
Yep.
They'll do a I can't say that word, preliminary match. And the other question I had was, what made you want to do an afternoon show as opposed to a night show? I've always wondered why people do the different times.
I think the afternoon show is more so because it's a Sunday, and if you do a 7:00 bell time, and if this show ended up being 3 hours total, it would have ended at 10.
That's a good.
People have work on Monday,
Yeah, okay.
and I think the matinee shows have become more popular. Not necessarily on Saturdays, but on Sundays.
Yeah, but just to bring another company in Beyond Wrestling, they love a good afternoon show.
That's kind of where, honestly, them and Alpha One is where I got the idea.
Yeah.
Alpha One always runs on a Sunday, bell time 4:00.
Okay. But and then to back up, is there a reason why people do the preliminary shows or matches?
For me personally, all four of those guys are ring ready, obviously, especially like DL and them, and DL and CJ have been doing shows for about a year now, and Cashew and Ricky are just kind of getting in there now. They all did the ring, so I thought I owed them something. And instead of doing a 10-match card starting at 4:00, I'll do a preliminary match, and I'll only have a 9-match card at 4:00. Which, believe it or not, for a 9-match card, which I'm sure you dread to hear.
I hate.
Anything more than 8, I believe, is
I agree.
is
I
too
shot for
much.
7. Sometimes you have to do 8. But-
My October show, you'd kill me.
oh God.
He's booking WrestleMania.
But starting once November rolls, I'm going to try to do my best to keep it strictly to 7. 7 in a intermish. But yeah, so I did the preliminary specifically just to save 15 minutes, kind of.
I was just gonna say because I've never really understood why they did it, because a lot of times when you do the preliminary match, it's like I always thought, but originally I thought in my head I was like, oh, is this to pump up the crowd? But usually people have that match, it finishes, and then
it's dead for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm like, so it's like you brought them up, got them excited, then they just get deflated, and now it's like the first match has to try and wake them back up.
Luckily for me, during the preliminary matches, there were autograph signings going on with Nunzio, Gotch, Lanny, Poffo, and Danny Davis. So at least there was stuff going on. And also, I love the idea. I think it's really cool. You're a fan buying a ticket and you're walking in and you're already seeing stuff, like that's like real exciting. Like you're not just sitting to an empty ring, like you're seeing action happening. Like I think that's a really cool visual. Like I remember going to Ring of Honor shows back in 06, 07, and they would have prelim matches, and I would literally, like, let's say bell time was 8, I'd be getting in there at like 7:50 because there's a long line and there's a match going on. I'm like, oh, did I miss something? Oh no, it's just a pre-show. Oh, but I get to watch another match. Like it's really cool for like a 15-year-old.
It has a very carnival-esque type thing.
Yeah.
Like you're showing up and things are already happening. And you're like, whoa, like this is cool.
For the October show, I'm thinking about hiring a magician.
Please.
I think it'd be cool.
I'm not even shitting you. I might go to the show if you do that.
But like a street style, like not one that's in the ring doing a big show, like one that while you're like buying popcorn, he comes up and goes pick a card and
Who's the guy?
Sean Feeney?
Who's
That's
the guy?
your name?
Oh yeah.
Are you thinking of the guy from Connecticut, Blaze?
I have no idea. Who's the guy that? Remember when Beyond Wrestling used to run shows here?
Oh, Jarek 120.
Yeah, where'd he go?
He's out of the business. Like,
well, tell him
completely
to
out.
fucking come back. I love
Yeah.
magic.
He had some like mental health issues, like bipolarism. Is that a word? Bipolarism?
I don't know.
Or just being bipolar?
I think it's just I have no idea.
I'm creating words, baby.
There you go.
All right, so opening match, everyone's in. Coast to Coast versus Brian Malonis and Chase Del Monte. Are you watching and hearing and being like relaxation settling in now? This is working. We got a good house. We got a match that's making people happy.
I watched Chase's promo.
Yeah.
And then once Coast to Coast came out and I heard the pop, I was like, all right, I can go start calling my match.
Were you fearful of Chase's promo? Because I got to watch it and he dug deep in those pockets for some cheap heat.
What was one of the lines? This is the furniture capital of the world. It looks more like the dumpster capital.
The garbage capital of the world.
Looking at all of you.
Yeah, Tarzan, I'll show you after. It was his promo was, he really was reaching for cheap heat. And it was actually making me laugh that it wasn't getting a reaction, which I don't know, it just made me laugh harder. But
I didn't want to like overdo it with the opener. The opener was either going to be that tag match or it was going to be Wheeler and Nick Curry or Kid Curry. And I wasn't like, I'm familiar with Kid Curry, but I wasn't necessarily confident in that being the solid opening match I needed.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to get that with Chase and Malonis versus Coast to Coast. So I thought like if I opened with John Silver versus Josh Briggs, it'd be like, all right, screw the rest of the show. Like there's nothing that's going to top it. And they probably had match of the night.
And old chaotic mantra, which I kind of stuck with, was babyfaces always win opening match.
Yes, that's what happened. Honestly, if you watch the match, I loved it. They did comeback finish.
Yeah.
No false finishes.
Just come back.
Nice shine, heat, comeback, boop, boop, little dip, finish, 1, 2, 3. It was I literally texted them. I was like, this was the perfect opening match. Perfect opening match.
Beautiful. Any problems arise on the actual show?
Yes, kinda. The only major issue was the fire department was right across the street.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what fire code was. We had like 215 seats out.
Yeah.
They were all sat in. And then it was just standing room, and it was like wall to wall. Like you couldn't move. Like I felt bad for the vendors because like no one was selling anything because their stuff was being covered by fans. We had to have the 2 cops there.
Yeah.
The fire department came over and they were just watching, but like they weren't like scoping anything out. But I got nervous, so Sonny Goodspeed actually ran my door, and he was checking like how many tickets were sold. He stopped checking because he was nervous someone was going to come over and be like, how many tickets have been sold?
Yeah.
So like he kayfabed the number for me. And I like tried to play nicey nice for the months leading up to the show. So like I went to the police station, gave them 10 free tickets.
Yeah.
Went to the fire department like 2 days before the show, said, hey, there's pro wrestling. If you want to come by, if your family can come or whatever, gave them like 12, 15 tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just trying to like be very much in the community. Whenever I'd go to like a store to put up a flyer, I was like, we have a community event was my line. And that was probably the biggest issue is when I was like, all right, I don't know what the max capacity is in this building. Let's just cut it off now. And I think we cut it off at like 315 or like 325 was like the official house.
Well, it's weird you say that because we had Maverick Wild on the show, and he said one of his problems he ran into promoting was he didn't live near the areas where he would promote.
I didn't live in the area, but Evie did. Evie lives in Gardner. So what I would do is...
So she could be very active in promoting the show locally.
And I have a story to tell. I'll do it now. I think this is the perfect time. So I hate stapling posters during the daytime. People are watching me, like it's awkward, there's traffic, she has to pull over, I have to jump out of the car, staple, and jump back in the car. So we would do it at night. So like I'd drive up to her Monday night, we'd have dinner, we'd hang out, 10 o'clock rolls in, we'd go out, staple, I'd sleep over, she'd go to work Tuesday, I would stay in town, I would fly her. I would do local stores, and I'd go to the towns around. This one specific night, it was the Wednesday before the show, and we're doing postering. The last bit of postering I think I had like 5 posters left. Just wanted to get them out there because like every 2 weeks they'd get ripped down. So I'm like, well, screw you, I'm going to put it right back up. Yeah. And we went to Domino's and ordered the pizzas for the show. Yeah. Also, a good sign that it was going to draw was all we said was, can we order X amount of pizzas for Sunday and pick them up at 3:30? Yeah. And the woman at the counter said, is this for the wrestling? We didn't even mention it. So I was like, all right, this is a good sign that it's like this is a big event coming to town. And whatever, we finish our postering, and then we were kind of like, that pizza smelled really good. Like, want to order a pizza? So we ordered a pizza. We start driving home, and there's 2 forks on the road. We go to the first one, and there's a car in front of us. As we're reaching the second fork, the car pulls over, and we drive around it, and the car pulls out and starts driving behind us. We get to her house. We park in front of the house. The car parks directly behind us, and she goes, is this person following me? And then they immediately cut into the neighbor's driveway. She goes, oh, it's the neighbor's son. Whatever. I'm on my phone just messing around. She was driving. We get out because we went to BJ's and picked up chips and candy to sell at the event. So she goes in the back door to open, and she looks through the mirror, and there's this guy with his window rolled down, bald, and he's like this, leaning on his window. Evie goes, can I help you? And I don't even know what's happening. I'm still in the car. I'm getting out now. And this motherfucker says, I'm supposed to be here. And she goes, oh, you dropping something off at the neighbor? Yeah. And he goes, no, you looked like you'd be fun to follow.
Holy shit.
I've never been more scared in my entire life.
That is fucking scary.
I don't think, I'm going to say it to everyone right now. Anthony Greene does not think he's a tough guy. But I feel in a situation, if I had to get scrappy, I think I could handle myself. Not today. This guy wasn't big. This guy was skinny, super skinny, bald. His eyes looked blackened. And he's just hanging out. And we're like, you thought we'd be fun to follow? And he goes, I didn't say that. Listen, I'm from an alternate reality. I can't make this up. I'm famous there. And I go, what? He goes, I'm just looking for friends. And I go, Evie, get in the car. She hops in the car. I get in the car. She goes, my mom's in the house. And she leaves the doors unlocked sometimes. I'm like, back up and block this guy in. We'll get his license plate. We'll call the police. Yeah. Back up. This guy gets out of the car, and I have to – you people listening won't be able to see this, but I'm going to show you the walk that this guy did. He takes a step towards us, and then the neighbor sees – he's nosy. He's the neighborhood watch. He beeps his lights on his car. The guy does this. Scariest walk I've ever seen. Tries to open that car door of the neighbor. The neighbor already locked it. Then walks towards us. I go, Evie, you need to fucking drive. She drives off. I'm on the phone with the police. I'm saying we're at this address. This guy, he said we'd be fun to follow. He's following us. This guy's just roaming around. We only drove maybe a football field away, 100 yards. I know football guys. And I can see him from where we are, and he's just looking around, and then he gets back in his car, backs up, and drives the opposite way. Evie's insane. You know this.
Yes, I do.
She's got a temper. She goes, I'm following him. I say, I don't think that's a good idea. The cop isn't telling me, don't follow him. Yeah. She's not saying anything. So we start following him from afar, and I think he notices, so he pulls over. And we took a left into a church parking lot. Then we see the cop lights go by. The car drives off. And then the cop pulls him over. We get back to the house. The neighbor's sitting on the porch and goes, "Do you guys know that guy?" We're like, "No, we had no idea who he was." So this is what he was wearing. All right.
Okay.
Bald. Black sleeve tattoo.
Okay.
Shirtless. Shoeless. Wearing pleather pants. I thought it was Cam. Description minus the bald head. And then the cop comes over, tells us that he's schizophrenic. He was having a schizophrenic episode. He also does large amounts of drugs. Don't know what drugs, but he does. This is the scary thing. The guy lives 2 streets over from Evie.
Yikes.
But Evie was nervous, like, is this guy going to come back and kill me? And, like, I guess if, like, you're having an episode, like, you don't know where you are. You won't remember anything. They ended up taking him into the hospital for 3-day detox to get him back on the meds he needs because he wasn't taking them. So that's good at least. It was just scary all around. And the scariest thing was, like, the cop told us when he was asking him questions, the guy kept saying, "They are telling me not to answer you."
Fucking.
Like, I can't explain how skin crawling it was when he said, "You looked like you'd be fun to follow."
Oh, my heart would have dropped into my
It
stomach.
did. I literally thought I was going to die.
Yeah,
I thought it was in, like, it was like out of. Have you guys ever seen Salad Fingers?
Oh yes, yes, I have.
That's what he was. That's who he was.
I promise you, Suzanne is screaming right now when she hears that. I make fun of it all the time. Yeah, it's just. Fuck. Like, if I was you, my immediate thought was, like, I'm going to snap someone's neck tonight. Like, I have to kill him. I'm going to have to kill him.
And that was the thing. I didn't know if he had anything on him. Like, if he had anything in him.
Yeah.
Like, I literally had no idea.
If he had cocaine, you would have never been able to destroy him. He would have been a superhero at that point.
It was... It actually kind of was like... what's that movie? Not Glass. The other one.
Split?
Split.
Yeah.
He was like that guy. Like, it was, dude,
That's
it
fucking
was
scary.
so scary. And, like, it was so funny. If Evie was by herself and she told me that story that happened, I was like, "You're a liar." You overreact to everything. That definitely didn't happen.
Yeah. You're definitely embellishing the story. Fuck.
But yeah. So
All right,
so back to
not that that was a very interesting story. Don't get me wrong, but let's go back to the show here. Any problems with the talent? You didn't have to yell at anybody or have any disagreements or anything like that?
Anyone do anything, break any rules, dive and hurt people, destroy the building?
A couple people swore. There was an F word, and
It's the worst.
And I think John Silver said "bitch."
Now, did you establish to them, please don't swear?
I said that in the meeting.
So
it was like the only thing I actually said in the meeting.
And again, we're going to get sidetracked. I'm going to bring this up because this just happened twice in WWE. Why do you feel people are swearing more often now? Like, people are, like, ending promos or just saying these things.
Because Ivar, Warbeard Hansen has said it right. There's 3 ways you get over on the indies. Don't lose, don't sell, swear. If you do one of those things, if you do all 3 of those things, you're getting signed. But if you do 1 or 2 of those things, then you're over. I think everyone just thinks, like, it's so easy. Like, even last night, like, on the fly, I did a spot just because, like, the crowd was into it. We did, like, a booyah, and MJF was giving me, like, punches. It was all him as the heel. He gave me one. I sold to the knee. He gave me the second one. I took a bump, got right up, and I was like, "Fuck you!" Crowd went ballistic for it. Obviously, it's just because, like, fans are just as immature as wrestlers, and, like, if you look at the Attitude Era is a great thing. Like, how like childish is it that the 2 most popular guys was a guy that stuck up his middle finger and guys that went "suck it"? Like, those are the most, like, how childish is that?
Yeah.
And that's what it is now. Ooh, he said "fuck yeah," that's awesome. Hell yeah, that was good. He called him a bitch.
So you did all the booking. You didn't have anyone. Now, this is a common thing I ran into a lot. I'd be like, Julian's wrestling, we'll say Ivar, and I'll be like, "Hey, Julian, I want you over in 17 minutes." I'd always get, "That's good, but why don't we do this?" Like, did you get a lot of pushback, co-bookers, people telling you what you should be doing?
Not really, because I was very lenient for the most part. I think the only thing I was strict about was in the Nunzio versus Tyler Cintron match. I didn't want Sidney Bacabella to get bumped because I was saving it for later, and I wanted him to keep his heat. And then I didn't want I didn't want the managers to get touched. I wanted to protect the managers because that's something that never happens. Everyone just uses the managers and fucks them off.
So you didn't have anyone.
No one said they wouldn't lose. Like Simon Gotch just did the job, no problem. Cheeseburger and Sumi were cool at doing the job. Nunzio basically said, "I'll put anyone over."
No one politics for their own result.
No,
I feel like Tarzan. I feel like you should get back into booking because I feel like wrestling has changed because back in your time, that's all you did was argue with people. But I feel like every time we ask this question, it's always the same answer. It's like, nope, everyone just worked smooth and easy with me.
Well, he's only had one show.
That's true. That's true.
Things are going to change.
But
do you ever get the fear? And I always had this fear. Oh, this match is so good, but it's so early. Like, how's the rest of the show gonna top this? Like,
that's why I didn't put Josh Briggs and John Silver on first. I had them on right before intermission.
Yeah.
So let the crowd breathe for 10, 15
first half of the double main event.
Yes. First half main, baby.
there you go. Ivar special.
But yeah, no, there was no. I very strategically booked the show. I knew that Coast to Coast and Chase and Malonis, and it's perfect that they did comeback finish, was going to be the perfect babyface, heel, basic, like, psychology. Second match was Baby Baby. I strictly wanted them to do... the second match was Wheeler Yuta versus Kid Curry. I wanted them strictly... I said, I don't want a heat. I said, I want a tight 8 minutes. I just want wrestling. Give them a few spots. Give them a flash pin out of nowhere. Just so, like, the next match, if they do a sunset flip, maybe it's the finish. Like, I very strategically had the show booked where it was like, build, explode, intermission, build, explode.
It sounds very smart. Now, I forgot you said his name, the guy from the Zero1 that...
that owns...
Yeah, the one.
Dave Cavazos.
All right. Did he have... were you communicating him during the show? Did he not care at all?
He wished me good luck, and then at the end of the night, I sent him pictures of the house, and he said, congratulations. That was it. And then asked me if I needed to update the website.
Are you... so, obviously... so, at the end of the night, you've made money.
Yes.
You're happy with the result? No one's upset? The building's fine?
Building's fine. Actually, the building was super impressed that I stayed extra late and swept. I swept myself. And he goes, I do hall rentals all the time. No one does that. And I'm like, well, we're different. We're wrestling. We need to make sure you like us.
Yeah.
Or we're screwed. We need a new building. Yeah, like there was definitely money made, but like I said, like by the end of the night, I'm still one of the boys. So after taking care of anyone, like I made peanuts, but like I didn't lose money.
Yeah.
And that was the most important thing to me. And like I said before, all the money that went into the show, none of it was personal money. So I have all that money. I already have enough for the second show. So I'm not worried about the second show at all. I don't even have to worry about any finances.
So boys are happy, building's happy, you're happy.
Everyone's very happy.
Sounds like
a successful.
If you're being honest, it all sounds like it was a good night.
The way I think Chase said it was like that show went as well as a first show could go. Like, it went a little long. I was hoping for a nice chaotic 2.5 hours. It ended up being just under 3 hours total.
That's not bad.
Especially for a 9-match card.
Yeah.
Like I tried to keep everything tight. I think the longest match was 15 minutes. Like that I booked it to 15 minutes. I haven't seen the whole show yet, so it could have went longer. But like some of the matches like 6 to 8.
Rich couldn't have been your ring announcer then.
He could have been,
but there's no way if it went under 3 hours.
Believe it or not, actually, Derek Mitchell is who I used.
I was just going to ask you that because I saw.
I love him.
Derek Mitchell was my original trainer.
Rylan Renoir.
Yeah, he's the one who helped Rylan get the high.
So, sorry.
I love Derek.
So here's the thing. I promised myself when I was younger. I told you I've always wanted to run shows.
Yeah.
When I book a show, the first person I'm going to call is Derek because he does wrestle. Mm-hmm. He refs. Mm-hmm. He does commentary. Mm-hmm. He ring announces. He has production equipment. The guy he's a jack of all trades, master of some. And yeah, I just thought he'd be the perfect first guy to call.
Couldn't
agree more.
This is a selfish thing. I want to wrestle Derek again.
Oh.
I haven't wrestled Derek since I was Rylan, and
the Golden Boy.
Yeah, I want to wrestle the Golden Boy. I don't know. I just had to put that out there. But either way.
So when you were done, had you already had other shows booked, or did that become now you're like, okay, this is a success, I'm going to keep going?
Okay, so I'll get into that. So I originally had the second show booked for Rhode Island. It was originally going to be at the new Beyond building that was being worked out.
Yeah.
That kind of flubbed. So I was already selling tickets for it. So I was like, all right, I need to keep it in Rhode Island. So I found a building 15 minutes away. I did not have another Gardner show booked. And this is where I was like moving fast. So it was intermission. I was telling Derek Mitchell that right after the first match, after intermission, announced the return of the show to Rhode Island and mentioned that Gangrel's going to be there. And then in my head, I'm like, shit, this crowd's going to boo when they announce that the next show is in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
So the guy, Sean, that runs the Eagles Hall, I went up to him. I said, I looked at my phone. I looked for the available dates in November for Sundays. I'm like, hey, can you see if November 17th is available? I'll book it right now. He goes, let me check the calendar. Went downstairs, came up 5 minutes later. It's free. Ran over to Derek. I was like, announce the Rhode Island show. Announce Gangrel. I want them to cheer. Announce that it's going to be in Rhode Island. I want them to boo. And then announce the return to Gardner for the big pop. And he did it that way. It happened the exact way that I wanted it. Thank goodness. You can't always assume. Like, I hate when I'm like calling a match and I'm like, they're going to react this way.
Yeah.
And then it's just like.
It's just not what you.
There's no better feeling, though, when you say, oh, they're going to react this way.
And they do.
Yes. Would you say now you're going to be the next ECW?
That is going to be stuck in Tarzan's like mind for the rest of his life.
I've actually been working on a TV deal with TNN. Big things coming. Big things are on the way.
I hear Jamie ruined television for New England. That's what I was told on an earlier episode.
I mean, to be fair, there was local wrestling on television after Chaotic because Big Time did TV for a little bit.
As well as New England Championship
And
Wrestling.
ECW, I think on the exact same channel that Big Time was on.
I think it was, actually.
So the fact that you had a successful run, the show went off without a hitch.
I'm the greatest promoter ever.
Are you fearful for the shows to come that they are not going to repeat the success?
So I'm budgeting my shows less now.
Okay.
So I was hoping for 150 to 200 people for the first show. I ended up drawing 315. The second show I have it budgeted for 125 to 150 people. November, I have it scheduled to like probably the same amount, like 125. I think I'll do better than that. Like my pre-sale for the first show was 180. That was pre-sale.
Wow,
a lot of that was like Louis offered to sell some tickets. Evie sold some tickets. The pre-sale, I think I sold 80 online. So that was pretty good. And then the Eagles itself had like a couple tickets, and I think they sold like 12 or 15 on their own. It just got it's all like trial and error. So for this first one, I feel like I didn't use the space to my advantage. Like we had a stage, and I used that as the locker room. And then like next time I'm going to put seats up there, charge a little more, VIP seating. For the second show, I'm trying to do like a front row VIP. I'm charging $30, which you think is expensive, but it comes with like an autograph from Gangrel and a picture of Gangrel, like free, which I'm charging $10 for each. So you're going to save a little bit of money that way. I think for Gardner, the 2015 price point is very fair. And I didn't even know this, but like once I found out EWA ran there, I had no idea how excited that little town was going to be to bring pro wrestling back.
And do you, in the future, when you start running shows, I assume this is going to go for as long as this is. Wow. I assume this is going to go as long as it's
As long as it's successful.
Thank you.
As long as it's successful. I'm messing it up too.
Yeah.
Why do you have to pick such a hard thing to say?
As long as it is successful.
As long as I can do it, yeah. And then my only fear, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's egotistical for me to say, but or until I get signed.
Okay. No, I think that's a possibility at some point, whether Ring of Honor, I know you're with Evolve now, but whether Ring of Honor, TNA, or
like a full-time, like a full-time gig.
Yeah. And then do you plan to incorporate storylines, or are you going to do what I feel like a lot of promotions are doing right now, which is just wrestling shows?
Put on good shows.
Yep.
I'm a fan of shows where the bookend starts and ends. So for the first show, the only story really told was Sidney Bacabella and Tyler Centron disrespected Lanny Poffo. They went over cheap and hightailed it. Later in the night, they thought they'd get one over on Danny Davis. Everyone punched Tyler Cintron, and then Lanny Poffo finally got the big punch on Joey Eastman. Or Sidney Bacabella. That was the story. That's all we needed. For the second show, it's going to be more just like... I have nothing really set yet. I guess I'll talk about the third one. Like, I have it set where the main event is going to be called the Chair City Street Fight. Because I don't know if you know this, but Gardner is the Chair City, the furniture capital of New England.
James Talmonte told me that.
Yes, so I will also the garbage capital of I'm going to tell the story at the start of the show. Like, the match will be announced, but for the people that don't know, that are just showing up because they saw the 11x17 poster on a telephone pole, all right, this is our heel. He came in, beat up 2 guys, showed that there's going to be a chair match. Babyface Hulk Hogan comes out and says, I'm going to kick your ass later. And that's the only story. And then, like, from there, like, I think after the November show, I'm going to take a couple months off just because of holidays. So probably December, January, come back late February, early March, and come back to Gardner. At least have, like, 1 or 2 small little stories in place where it's like, oh, now I know why those 2 guys are wrestling each other. But, like, not so much, like, long-term, especially because the goal is to only run 6 to 8 times a year. It's kind of hard to, like, really push major storylines.
Are you going to have a champion?
Yes, the goal is for the late February, early March show to crown the first ever. I actually have a belt already made.
I was just going to ask you that is if you were going to go the route that some people go, you know how, like, promotions that just start want a belt, but they don't have the money for it, so they just buy like a shitty boxing belt and then.
So my belt for now, because I don't know like how long, like maybe in a year, Dave might be like, hey, I don't want you using the 0-1 name anymore. Like we can't do it. Like who knows what could happen. So I got a generic one for now. I found it like on eBay, but it's like a nice one. It's not a WWE replica. It's a generic. I'll show you guys after. It's a nice looking title. I think it's respectable for our first belt. Kinda. I also think it's going to be unique. The goal is like everyone just does title belts. I think I want to do a championship and a crown. Oh, no one does crowns. That'd be cool.
Okay, so you want to do like if you
It'd be
won
the
the
same.
championship, you'd wear the crown as well.
You get the title and the crown.
Oh, nice.
Because I want to call the tournament Crown Zero.
You love a good play on words.
I sure do.
Yeah, I'm with him. I love it. I'm a big fan of the Air Bud series just because they have a play on words for every one.
Yeah.
Like
Russell Madness.
Exactly. Like the baseball one was Air Bud 7th inning fetch.
Garbage. But needless to say.
Well, I got to say, this is probably going to cause the ass-kissing buzzer to go off, as some people like to say, but I'm actually very impressed. I honestly came in here thinking first show, it's going to be all these horror stories. He's lost his shirt. It's going to be a wreck. It sounds very professional, very well run, very successful.
And like I said, I didn't make... Like, I ended up with like $50.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, because I paid everyone extra, But I didn't lose money, which I think is the most important. And like I said, all the money I had saved, nothing came from like my real life money. So like, I'm just going to throw that into the second show. Hopefully I can throw that into the third show. And it'd be awesome if I could just recycle that money forever and maybe build it where I'm making a little bit and I can add a little bit more. But the thing is with the Gardner building, it is like smaller. So like, I can't book, John Cena in that building and expect 500 people. I'd have to look for a bigger building.
And though you would like to recycle the money and stuff, and obviously every single person in the entire world wants to make money in doing whatever it is that they do, you'd be okay with almost always breaking even and just playing the recycle game?
Like, I hate sounding like cocky, but like I do pretty well on the independents that I don't think I need to make a crap ton of money on my shows.
So you can just do this for the love of wrestling.
Yeah. Perfect. Literally. And I think that's one thing that I've like kept true is like I'm just happy that I get to do it.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give anyone who's trying to run their own show now that you've done it?
Especially because this is your first show ever.
Yeah, it's your first show.
It seems like you did this really well. So
definitely if you're going to do it, which I suggest not, be prepared for the worst. I actually have one more story after about the worst thing that could have happened, but it was like way before the show. Prepare for the worst because it's going to happen. 2, know that it's going to be better. Make sure you have your money before. Don't base the paydays on the gate. Like, make sure you have all the money there before the show, because that's when trouble happens. That's when the Boston Marathon show happens, and people are cornering you for money.
Yep. Chasing you in your car.
And just make sure you take it seriously. Like, some promotions really rely on social media. Like, I bought a $40 ad on Facebook for I think it was August 1st to August 18th. It cost me $2.22 a day. Did that, but I was literally every Monday and Tuesday, I'd poster at night, flyer the next morning. Poster at night, flyer the next morning. Every week leading up. I went to the Worcester SmackDown outside, handed flyers. Went to Ring of Honor in Lowell, handed out flyers on my own. Like, I put in the work, that the old school, stuff that no one does anymore. And I looked for unique ways to add a little bit of added income. Like, instead of doing a show sponsor, I did per match sponsorships. So let's say the Pro Wrestling Super Show podcast wanted to sponsor, all right, so this match costs $50. Your logo will be on that match graphic, and before the match is announced, you probably noticed it watching. It said the following contest is scheduled for one fall with a 15-minute time limit and is sponsored by the blah 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 podcast. And then the music would hit, and I did that for every match. I sold all the matches, so I made a little extra there. And it's super cheap for them to do it, even if they get one more new listener or whatever. Yeah, and be willing to lose money, I guess. Hope you don't, but be willing to. But just put in the work. And that side story, we had a ticket link. We had a PayPal gimmick made where you scroll down. It was a HTML or whatever, and PayPal thought that we were gambling. We thought we were in a money pool, because it doesn't say what you're buying. All they saw was the exact same amount of money coming in multiple times. Yeah. And they thought we were doing online gambling and doing a money pool. So they closed my account on me. I had over $800 in the Zero1 USA PayPal account. And I couldn't touch it for, I think it was half a year. It was 180 days. They said, yep, you can't add a card. You can't remove a card. You can't add money. You can't remove money. You can't send money. You could do nothing with it. The only thing you could do is refund the money is the only option. You could refund to each person. So me and Evie, mostly Evie, because I called one time to PayPal, and I hate confrontation. So once they said they couldn't do anything, I said, okay.
It was
Evie called, talked to the manager, and the manager was real cool. He was basically saying so what you guys are doing does not look like gambling to me, but you guys are high risk sellers because you're not selling a physical thing. You're not buying a box from me.
Yeah.
You're buying an online ticket where it's just your name. And I guess, not that it's likely, but a fan could be I wasn't happy with the show, I want my refund, and then they would have to go to PayPal and get the money back, and then PayPal has to pay them. So I was baffled by this.
Yeah.
I'm we're not doing anything illegal. Listen, we'll stop selling tickets. We'll do brown paper tickets. We'll just get a legal link and eat the fees. Just open our account. Let us just transfer the money. That's all we want. They said, no, it's going to take a while. So we refund every single person that bought a ticket at that point, and refunded every single person that bought a sponsorship. I individually messaged every single person apologizing, telling them what happened. It wasn't a million people, but
still
it was a disservice.
$800. There had to be a couple of people.
Yeah.
$800.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, so
I
that's what you said.
thought you said 3.
No, I said there had to be a couple of people in there with $800.
CTE guys, sorry. That was stressful. It was just an annoyance. It got fixed. Oddly enough, so we sent all the money back, messaged everyone. We got it all back through what was it called? Evie signed up for this QuickBooks is what it's called.
Oh yeah.
So we did invoices via QuickBooks to everyone that already took care of it. So they'd have a receipt now. They repaid, and then we made a brown paper ticket link to make it easy. Just click, boom, just like the song.
I knew you were gonna fucking bring that up.
and set it up that way. But the next day, I get an email. We've noticed that the account has not done anything to go against our agreement. Your account is now active again. I'm like, you're kidding me. And then 3 days later, because my account with my card was linked, like my personal PayPal was my name and linked to the same card, they closed my account. So I called them. I was like, hey, like, what's going on? And she goes, oh, like, we noticed that this happened on that account. It's because it has the same card on file. However long it took to fix it, we're going to send the invoice in to fix it right now. It should be fixed within the same time. 24 hours later, my account was back up. But I very scarcely use PayPal now. I have to use it for like how I get paid at Evolve, and every once in a while I'll sell a t-shirt. But usually, like, once I see the money in the account, like for that 0-1 thing, I just left it in there. And Evie did say, like, you should just transfer it to the bank. You should just transfer it to the bank. I was like, no, let's just leave it there. We know how much is there. I can see the amount at all times. Now when I get something on PayPal, I'm already transferring it to my bank. I'm not letting it sit in there for more than 5 minutes just because the headache was no fun, and I do my best to not do business with PayPal anymore. If I could just pay via credit card or debit card directly and not give them the service fee, I'm going to do my best not to. Screw you, PayPal. You want the shit talking? There it is. PayPal, you suck. I'm never booking you. You're the drizzling shits.
All right, so you getting signed is a distinct possibility.
It could be, yes.
If that were to happen, would you want to turn your company over to someone, or would you just close the door and that's it?
I jokingly tell Evie that I'm going to move to Florida and I'm just going to continue to fund the money. She goes, you are not moving to Florida without me. That's something I thought of. I don't know what I would do. I don't know if it'd be a situation where it would be a hiatus thing until, like, maybe I get on the main roster and I'm allowed to move back to wherever I want and I can move back to the area.
Yeah.
And start doing, because there are, like, Brian Myers or Kurt Hawkins. He runs his own shows and has his own wrestling school in New York. Tyler Breeze has a wrestling school in Florida. Heath Slater has one in Kentucky. So there are guys that are in WWE that have wrestling schools that run shows. So it wouldn't be out of the question. But if I was like strictly in NXT where I have to live in Orlando, it wouldn't be possible unless I had someone that I trusted. And honestly, realistically, it's probably only Evie to do it for me. But until that day, I'm just gonna have fun.
This is more of a curiosity. It has really nothing to do with our subject. Your girlfriend Evie was on our podcast, Truth, Justice, New England Pro Wrestling Way. Did she have any negative reactions whatsoever to being on the show?
No, I don't believe so.
Because we've gotten some negative, not her, but some things, not about her, but I mean in general. So I'm just curious.
Like from being on the show, you mean?
Yeah, from being on the show. Like, has anybody been like, oh, I can't believe you said this and blah, 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 anything
Not
like
that I noticed, but I did notice recently I saw Todd Graham post that the entire Todd Sopel episode was just him saying how much he hated him.
It's just you'll get asked the same questions, but at the end of the episode, we always ask who you hate and will you name them, and he mentioned Todd Graham. He said he hated Todd Graham because he postered at his show or something like that. I asked him.
Oh, he like ran in the same town as him in PB.
Yeah.
And we do hope to get Todd Graham on the show at some point. I'd like to hear his side of the story.
Todd Graham did reach out to me. He said he would like to be on the show. We just have to schedule it with him.
I will say this about Todd Sopel. He's a heater. He's definitely got a lot of heat. Mm-hmm. But you have to admit, he'll say whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I give him that.
Yeah.
So.
And you know how wrestling is. Everyone tiptoes and tries to choose their words correctly. Yeah. And Todd doesn't give a fuck.
Like, I think I'm very PC.
You are. You are very PC, but you're also, I don't know.
I'm a dick, but I'm not.
I think I've heard one negative thing out of your mouth ever. And it wasn't even that negative. It was more or less truthful. But I won't bring it up now because you kind of work for the promotion. I don't want to bring it up. But I'm not trying to bury your spot here.
But we don't play favorites. We want to hear everyone's side of every story.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
No matter what, even if we don't like you, we want you on the show.
Yeah, buddy.
So your side of the story.
I like you, buddy. You're my best friend.
All right, on that note, Julian, you know what time it is.
I do.
It is now time for the Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four!
The Fantastic Four here, Retrosexual or Retro Anthony Greene. You did change your name now, right?
Hold for edit. It's just retro now. No, I was kidding. Yeah.
All right, so Retro Anthony Greene. The Fantastic Four is a series of questions that we ask all of our guests straight across the board. So we're going to jump right into it. And the first question is pretty simple. Out of your entire dealings as now a new promoter and booker, what would you say you are most proud of?
Ooh, that's a good one. I want to say probably the draw, but I think I'm more proud of all my peers and everyone on the show was really surprised with how successful it was. I don't think they thought it was going to be like 20 people, but I think everyone was like even if you watch Josh Briggs' entrance, he goes, holy shit, there's a lot of people here. Also, he swore, so
Yeah.
docking your pay.
Question 2. When it comes to running this show, what would you say is your biggest regret, if any?
Maybe like one less match on the show.
Just shorten the show.
Just shorten the show a little bit.
Okay. This is my favorite question. Now, this is typically going to be with running a wrestling show, but you see everyone around the world, and we're going to make this a little broader. With your entire dealings of professional wrestling in the New England area, or in general, who would you say you hate the most or strongly dislike, and will you name them?
I don't think I hate anyone.
Hate's pretty strong.
Hate's a pretty strong word. I don't know many people that hate someone, but we can usually strongly dislike people. When Tarzan asked me, I mentioned who I kind of lost respect for whatever reason. So it can be anywhere in that realm of just don't want to be in the same room with that person.
So it's weird. I wouldn't even say I dislike him as much as he's become an annoyance, and I will not name him. No, I'm just kidding. No.
My heart just dropped.
So I think we can all agree like he was a solid wrestler, great wrestler, good wrestler, but like online, Kid Crazy has become a lot to deal with for me. Like I feel like we were buddies, and then I don't know, it just sometimes he'll just like say something that's not necessary in a comment. Like he'll write something in Carney, and it's like, this is weird. Like, don't do that. Okay. There was a time where I had to I didn't unfriend him, but like I paused him for a little bit. I don't hate him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say I dislike him. It's just become an annoyance.
I gotcha. So that's the guy that jumps to mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Tarzan, you know Kid Crazy, yeah?
Yeah, I know Kid Crazy.
I do not. So
he's been kind of up and down with people over the years. I've never had an issue with him personally, but I know
I've never had an issue. I've never wanted to fight him.
I've heard some negative things about him. I've never personally had an issue, but
we did watch a fantastic match with him in it, didn't we?
Yeah, Anthony Greene showed us that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever seen him versus Adam Booker though?
No,
it's online from an EWA show. Pretty good.
Is it?
They called it on the fly.
I love Adam.
Adam Booker does a split-legged moonsault.
Fucking Adam Booker is such a good talent.
Question 4: what does the future hold for Anthony Greene?
A lot of agony, a lot of misery, a lot of injuries. Hopefully, a lot of money, and hopefully a lot of fame.
So a lot more of the wrestling business.
Yeah. Maybe I'll quit soon. I don't know.
That's
I
never
find
going
that
to
hard
happen.
to believe.
That's literally never going to happen. You're gonna be wrestling longer than Brian will.
I promised myself the day that I say I'm done, I have to be done.
Yeah, well, Brian also promised he would not be the next Bob Evans, and it's heading that way. So
they're both bald now. Well, Bob's been bald for a while.
All right, well, we really appreciate you coming on to the show.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I hope you'll join us again sometime.
Yeah, so when you pay me, just don't do it via PayPal.
We appreciate you making the drive down here to the New England Pro Wrestling Academy and recording with us today. I know you do not live close, so taking the time out of your day to give some insight to what it's like to run a brand new promotion, especially in the New England pro wrestling scene.
And tell your friends to come on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd.
But here's the plug part of our show. Where can people find Anthony Greene on social media?
I mean, I am on Twitter and Instagram. My Twitter is @RetroAG. My Instagram is @RetroAG_ because someone took the name already. Facebook, Anthony Greene. And most importantly, 01 USA Northeast. You can get that on Instagram @01 USANE and on Twitter @01 USA_NE. Buy tickets for the next show at 01USA.com. The brown paper ticket link is right there. It is on October 27th. I named the show after myself, Retro AG's Halloween Bash, featuring the Vampire Warrior Gangrel. And at this point, it will already be announced. We have Matt Stryker on the event as well. Not Unibrow Matt Stryker, the one that was in WWE. How exciting.
And outside of your own show, why don't you plug the next matches you're going to be wrestling?
Ooh, what do I got going on? I got Evolve Wrestling on October 11th and 12th. That is down south in North Carolina and in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm wrestling for Battlefront Pro Wrestling, and that is in like the Western Mass area. I'm wrestling Gangrel himself, Dave the Vampire. And then also you can catch me every Thursday night in Worcester at the White Eagle for Beyond Wrestling Uncharted Territory.
All right, again, thank you very much for being on the show. We appreciate it. Julian, plug our social media.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find Truth Justice in the New England Pro Wrestling Way on Facebook. It is a like page. Go ahead and stop by, give us a like. We will do our best to update everything that is coming forth for Truth Justice and the New England Pro Wrestling Way. We will also attack the same news on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Pro Wrestling Way. And sure enough, you can download this podcast on any major podcasting app that you see fit. Please like, subscribe, give us a star rating. Please push us up the ladder. And please, 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 I will beg you till the day I die, give us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what we can work on. Let us know what guests you'd like on, what questions you'd like to ask. Let us know if we were too soft or too hard on our guests. Give us everything that you have that you're thinking of as you're listening. We want to improve this podcast to make it the best listening experience for you.
We welcome all comments, questions, concerns, whether it be just for us, for Anthony Greene. Maybe we were too nice to him. Maybe we weren't mean enough. We want to hear your input always. And as always, New England is the greatest area for professional wrestling in the country. Go out, support your local New England wrestling company. That's going to do it for this week, folks. We want to thank you and join us once again for another exciting episode of Truth, Justice, and the New England Pro Wrestling Way.